I don't know which is worse, going up against a opponent or a situation that you're not really sure what step to take in order to get the win, or knowing what you have to do but making a preventable mistake that ends up losing you the fight. I think as PvP players we go through both of these quite often throughout our PvP careers, and I think it's important to kind of go over kind of both, not only how to deal with certain situations or builds, but kind of reminding ourselves that there's certain basics and fundamentals that work for a reason and are something that we really shouldn't forget to kind of go over and maintain during PvP fights. The game this patch, as you probably know if you've been PvPing at all, is super ranged heavy, honestly, because not only has Fire Staff been buffed, but bow is still in a really strong state. So today's video is going to be going over again, this is kind of the, like, I guess, ranged fighting part 2 video, but kind of how to fight ranged builds. And if you already kind of know some of these tips, then this will kind of be a reminder. But if not, if you're kind of struggling with the meta right now, then I hope that I can kind of give you a couple of tips on how to deal with bows and fire staff, or just mages in general. A lot of it is going to come down to what you are using, so these are general tips, but depending on whether or not you are using a full melee build, a melee and a ranged build like I am, or a full range build, some of these things that you do are going to kind of change and vary for your build. But hopefully I have a couple of clips on a couple of different builds here today that can kind of go over what to do in different situations. Hopefully I can cover as many different build types as I can. But before we get into the clips, in general, when it comes to fighting ranged builds in New World, regardless of what build you're running, there are a couple of kind of really big pointers that will kind of help you out in just fighting them and combating them in general. Just some really kind of basic ones, like starting a fight against really any ranged opponent, especially bows in a giant open field with no line of sight, where you have to kind of close the distance and then start the fight, is a big no-no. Things like walking or running in a straight line towards an enemy like a fire staff user is also a big no-no, because you're gonna get blown up. These are some of the things that you kind of want to remember, but getting a little bit deeper into it, there's kind of a tempo when it comes to fighting ranged builds. You will over time kind of get used to the cadence of fights. Most players in the game that I come across kind of fight in one way, which is they'll kind of go aggressive by using all their cooldowns, and then kind of roll around and play defensive while they're waiting for them to come back up. So it's your job to kind of find your opening within that window or that period of time to find openings. The thing that I'll tell people a lot of the time is to try to close the distance and start playing aggressive yourself as soon as possible. The ranged player wants to stay at range and just peck you from far, and you know, trying to kind of dance with them or fight at range is what they want. So if you can close the distance and immediately put yourself in melee range, assuming you're a melee user, and start to kind of put them under pressure, not only does it make it harder for them to kind of land their abilities and offensive shots, but it opens up your opportunity to actually put them on the defensive, which is what you want to do. You don't want to be in a situation where you're on the defensive and they're at range kind of just hitting you, because those are fights that are very hard to win. Now, when you are trading with range players, I'm focusing more so on evading and iframing their abilities more so than I am damaging them, because winning trades is the goal at the end of the day. And we're going to open up on here on the first mage with flamethrower. I try to damage out the flamethrower with my evade combo, but we both get each other low. We both pop our defensive cooldowns, and I'm immediately gonna go ahead and try to distance myself here from the pylon. And again, like you see, I avoided the fireball there. I know that his entomb is down, so we're able to go offensive with the flesh, and we're able to pick up that kill there. I see the second mage approaching though, so we just go for a dodge right away to avoid that fireball. We flame dash through, and we're able to get a pillar on. I read the fact that he was going to try to go for a scream, and we get a really nice read off with the parry. And again, using the movement with the rapier there. I know it's easier said than done, but when you are at range, you're going to really try to prioritize iframing and avoiding damage as much as possible, because it's going to be really one fireball that leads into the rest of the things into your death. But when it comes to kind of more melee focused builds, going back to what I said earlier, playing aggressive and closing that distance is the goal. So we're on our rapier and ice gauntlet setup here. We have two players here who I guess didn't realize I was going to go for the fight. I immediately go for the healer, and we are able to finish off that kill pretty quickly. But we have a blunderbuss and fire staff user here, and immediately going to go ahead and try to put on the pressure. And you see, like I said, I am not going to allow them to really gain any distance on me if I can. And playing aggressive, you see, I put them in a position here where they are trying to focus more on avoiding damage and what to do next instead of attacking me. I get a really nice series of iframes there to avoid a lot of that damage. But again, just constantly closing that distance, staying on him with my rapier. We do get hit by the pillar there towards the end and get us pretty low. But given the state of their health, I kind of figured that I would be able to kind of stay aggressive, and we're able to take out the mage there. They do end up respawning. I am going to end up fighting them again, but we're going to go ahead and literally use the same tactic and make sure that I'm using any mobility that I can to close the distance on the mage and make sure that I can make their life as hard as I can. So we open up the fight again. The healer is going to be alive this time though, but I am pretty confident with this build that I'm going to be able to damage out the mage. Again, you see me playing aggressive. We do take a little bit of damage from the blunderbuss, but we do get the mage low as well. He does end up getting a heal from the healer, and I'm just gonna kind of periodically kind of just switch targets to the healer just to kind of keep them on their feet and kind of remind them it's not a free ride. But we put in a lot of damage with the rapier there. I try to go for the spike for the finish. I'm not able to get the kill, and the healer does top up a little bit. I am pretty low myself, but again, like I said, playing aggressive the entire time, we pretty much put that mage in a situation to where they couldn't play aggressive on us at all. The only thing that they were forced or able to do was run away and try to figure out how to get rid of my aggression. And it's things like that you want to do. You really want to be thinking about the overall situations that you're putting yourself or your opponent in the fight. Next up, we have a fight against a more traditional fire staff and ice gauntlet user. We take a little bit of damage starting out the fight, but we both kind of make our way over to the rock here for the little 1v1. They immediately put down pylon, and I'm just going to go ahead and take this thing out immediately, because as you can see by my health, in 3 hits there, I'm already pretty low. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of use this rock here as my line of sight and regenerate a little bit of health before I go in for the offensive. And right as I throw down my storm, I see that they're using flamethrower. So I kind of go for a retreat because both of my cooldowns were down on my ice gauntlet, and I wasn't really comfortable going for the aggressive play there. But they have the pylon up again. Because we are trying to space out that pylon, we avoid that shower, and then they throw out the flamethrower. I try to go aggressive here, but you can see I'm not really able to kind of get a good start on it. So we back up, force the rolls out of them, get a really nice turn on them with the flush. And I kind of whiff my spike a little bit, but going back into that earlier method of now playing aggressive, and we're able to get a really clean kill there. I like doing little tricks like that where we kind of bait them into a flush, and you're able to kind of turn the tables pretty quickly on light armor users. Now, I wanted to show some fights with a different weapon other than rapier as well, because these fundamentals still apply. Even if you don't have the amount of mobility that a build like the Rapier Fire Staff does, the goal at the end of the day is still the same. So we have my Paladin build here, and we're pretty much just going to go mage hunting. I go for the skewer opening there to see if I can land the weakening, but they do dodge. So you can see I'm playing really defensive here. We're both kind of using this tree as line of sight as I get my health back. But I try to go for the Volt Kick. We land a really nice stun there. They go for the Entomb. And we get a beautiful little root on the Burnout there to cancel it. And then we're able to get a nice little finish. Like I mentioned, playing aggressive, staying up in their face makes it a really hard time for them to just bombard you with those fire spells. But going ahead and looking for our next target, you can see a lot of them are kind of grouped up here in the main road. With a build like this, because I don't have the mobility, it's really kind of important that our positioning is on point and we don't waste too much stamina trying to close the distance. And I'm already pushing my luck here. We are in a really bad spot, too overextended in my opinion. And you see I noticed there and immediately kind of turn around as a lot of them kind of turn their attention to me. Being that we are on the Paladin, though, we are going to be able to kind of heal through a lot of this damage that we are receiving, and those mages are probably not going to follow. But yeah, because we don't have things like flesh and parry to be able to get us out of situations, not only while you're closing the distance, but during fights, it's so important that you are trying to time your dodges and abilities appropriately. But we find ourselves a bow user here, and we're gonna go ahead. We do land the skewer there, so we have a weaken on them, but just playing super aggressive. I try to land the root there outside of the parry, but it doesn't end up landing. But we land the damage anyways inside of our Oblivion, throw a ton of damage, and we start to take some more pressure now from a mage. So we're just gonna kind of retreat around this other side of the wall and get a little heal. And we are pretty much back to full already, and I'm gonna go ahead and try to see if I can find an opening here. You see, I'm waiting for them to kind of throw an ability out, so I just kind of go aggressive, and we land the skewer with them going for a meteor shower. Land the sweep on both. Actually, we were able to finish off that mage, and I should have actually just dodged towards that mage there and gone on the offensive, and they are just barely able to make it back inside. But we're gonna go ahead and look for another target here. Again, the big thing is really not using up all of our stamina to close the distance. Their back is turned to us here, so it's going to be a lot easier for us to do that goal, which is close the distance. We land the full combo here, just barely get the kill, and we get the ultimate there to kind of keep us alive. But yeah, I know for a lot of you, some of these things, or most of them, might be maybe if not obvious things you already know, but again, I think it's important to kind of remind yourself that, you know, this is the way. There are certain things that you need to kind of certain basics and fundamentals that we need to kind of constantly implement in PvP in order to give ourselves as many advantages as possible. But yeah, as always, if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.